Was the death of Gojo a mistake from Akutami's part for the Jujutsu Kaisen story? I think this is a valid question that us fans need to ask Akutami. As Jujutsu Kaisen is getting closer to the end of the story, I am seeing a lot of talking points within the story itself that feel needs debating amongst us fans on whether or not it was a good move from a storytelling perspective. So watch out for more of these debate style videos heading your way. But yes, going back to the topic, was killing Gojo off a mistake for the series? The guy was arguably the most popular character in the entire franchise and was most people's favorite character. So killing him off would naturally kill a lot of interest for the hardcore Gojo fans. Now, there is that hope that maybe Gojo will return, which can be the reason why the hardcore Gojo fans will stick around, but I'm sure most of them would stick around anyway. I feel only a small group of them would quit following the story. I know a few people personally who have quit the story because Gojo has died. So that's why I am mentioning that fan base may stop following the story. But for me personally, killing Gojo off from the story has its pros and cons. Firstly, I feel him being killed off opens up the story a lot more and it allows different characters to have that spotlight. Gojo always had the big hype moments when it comes to the anime. The whole first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, it felt like Gojo was the main character. All the big moments with him fighting Sukuna in episode 2, unleashing Infinity Void in episode 7, and using Hollow Purple to decimate the forest where Hanami was at. All of these moments were massive, and apart from Yuji and Sukuna themselves, I feel Gojo had the most hype moments in the whole first season. Then you go to Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which I saw in the cinema, and every time Gojo showed his eyes or whenever he fought, that's the time when the crowd in the cinema started getting hyped. Not with Yuta or Geto, but with Gojo. And you can even go to YouTube to see the reactions in the cinema for that movie, and all the hype reactions were for Gojo. So with just the first season and the movie alone, you see how much attention, spotlight, and love Gojo gets from the fan base. So with him being gone, the big hype moments in theory will be showed across the other big characters in the series. But having said that, the big moments that Gojo did show was really awesome to see. Hollow Purple with the techno club music, along with the animation on how he's making Hollow Purple by fusing Curse Technique Amplification Blue and Curse Technique Reversal Red, makes that moment magisterial to watch, because you know the build up to this finishing move is epic, so you know 100% that this attack will also be an absolute madness. Even in episode 7, the way he dominates Jogo was so much fun to watch. The hype is the build-up for him to reveal his eyes and his domain expansion, because we see throughout the fight that Gojo is dominating Jogo. So the only natural progression of the episode is for Gojo to dominate Jogo's domain expansion by using his own, which was Infinity Void. Seeing a character dominate a powerful villain just adds to the cool factor, because so far we have been seeing the cursed spirits in the story give so much trouble to our main heroes in Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara. So seeing Gojo absolutely decimate Jogo was like a shock to the system. We know Gojo was strong because he claimed that he was the strongest in episode 2, and the way we see him dominate Sukuna in episode 2 made Sukuna look like a joke. But then again, we knew in the next episode that Sukuna is nowhere close to his full strength. So how reliable is that statement of Gojo's when he claimed that he is the strongest? But then he plays with Jogo in episode 7, confirming to us that yeah, this guy is the strongest, with even the villains in the flashback scene in that very episode with Kenjaku confirming that Jogo will die if he fights off against Gojo 1v1. So these hype moments in itself is both a pro and a con, because on the one hand, these moments from Gojo are genuinely badass. And I'm just talking about the first season of the anime. I haven't even mentioned the second season with the Gojo past arc or even the beginning of Shibuya. But these moments are legit and are arguably the best moments in the whole story. However, these big badass moments are all of Gojo's moments, not anyone else's. Sukuna had a few badass moments, Megumi as well, but if you just solely look at the first season, who else had the big badass moments? Yuji did with the consecutive Black Flash attacks, Megumi nearly did when he was about to release Chimera Shadow Garden, Mahito was epic with his manipulation of Junpei. The first season's job is to familiarize the fans with the world, characters, and the powers of the characters, so there's not much time to have big badass moments. So it's understandable that there isn't that many big moments, but the big moments did end up falling to Gojo, which added to his popularity. This is the double-edged sword that I mean with the hype moments. Those moments from Gojo are cool, but other characters didn't get those moments either, which will impact on how the fans view them or even care about them. Not only does Gojo's death allow for other characters to have big moments, but also take the mantle of being the strongest character. Sukuna is in his own entity at this point. He is the strongest, but he is still a villain. Whereas Gojo was a hero, so from the Jujutsu Sorcerer's side, a spot opened up to be called the strongest. So it's kind of like whoever ends up being the strongest from the good guy's perspective will also be the face of the series. As much as Yuji is the main protagonist, I feel this series has multiple characters who are main protagonist level. Gojo previously, Sukuna, Megumi, Yuta all have that main character aura about them. And I know Sukuna is the villain, but he is a parallel to the main heroes. How the heroes have their journey to become strong Jujutsu sorcerers, he also has his journey in where he is collecting his 20 fingers in order for him to return as the #1 king of all curses. And guys, look, just because you're the main protagonist doesn't mean you are the face of the franchise. Gojo and Sukuna multiple times have been on the cover of Shonen Jump magazine, which proves that Yuji may be the main protagonist of the story, but it doesn't mean that he is the face of it. So with Gojo dying now and Yuji potentially having a massive power-up to fight against Sukuna, Yuji might now finally be the face of the franchise that he was the main protagonist of. I've mentioned this in my other videos, but Gojo also dying enhances the stakes in the story. If Gojo died, then that means anyone can potentially die. You also don't have that typical last-minute save from Gojo, which can be tiring to go through, but now that he is dead, it will make the story more unpredictable. I'm sure a lot of you can see where I'm coming from with these points in terms of other characters getting some shine now that Gojo is dead. But having said all of that, I have to say I do wish that Gojo was still alive, just to have him show off his wisdom in the story. Gojo is the teacher and mentor for the current group of Jujutsu sorcerers attending the schools of Jujutsu High in Tokyo and Kyoto. And Gojo is young himself. He is still 28 in the story, so he himself is still very young and in his prime. I feel we could have seen more of the mental side of his character. Like for me, I think Sukuna beating Gojo is the correct move, but actually killing him off, that might have been a mistake. Because Gojo still has so much potential as a mentor figure. He has fought Sukuna firsthand. He can give advice and guidance on how to defeat Sukuna. He has the ability to use domain expansion multiple times in a day, but for 99% of Jujutsu sorcerers, they are limited to just one per day. He can teach the new generation on how to bridge that gap between themselves and at the highest level of sorcery with himself and Sukuna. He has said that one of his goals is to have strong allies to change the world of Jujutsu. Well, if he was still alive, he potentially could have still achieved that goal. What I wanted was for Gojo to lose against Sukuna and potentially lose all of his powers because he got damaged so badly by Sukuna. Basically make Gojo be in a wheelchair or not have any ability to fight. But he still has a lot of knowledge that he can share with the new generation, which is still in line with his main goal of creating a new generation of strong Jujutsu sorcerers. Basically be the Professor X figure from X-Men, but for Jujutsu sorcerers. We always see the mentor figure past his prime and is a senior in terms of age, but now Akutami can flip that cliche by having Gojo still in his prime age but become the full mentor figure right in the middle of the story because Sukuna finally took out his powers. That way you can see different elements of Gojo's character. And as he won't be fighting, all the big hype moments will belong to characters like Yuji and Yuta. It's a win-win situation for us fans. Jujutsu Kaisen kills off characters all the time. We have seen it with Nanami, the 4 disaster curses, Junpei, Yuki, and many others. We still don't know what happened to Nobara, so we have seen a lot of characters who are fan favorites be killed off. So you can't even use the excuse of, oh, Akutami is afraid to kill off characters, which is clearly not the case. Oda gets that complaint a lot in that One Piece, not many characters die, but Akutami loves killing off his characters. I mean, he killed off arguably his most popular character, so it shows that he's not afraid to do it. That's why I'm saying that killing Gojo off completely might have been a mistake. But that's just your tribal chief's personal opinion with this. I want to now go over to you guys. Do you feel Akutami made a mistake by killing off Gojo? Let me know in the comments down below. What's the next debate/discussion type video you guys want me to cover? Again, comment below and let me know. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the Shaman Tribe.